Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Westwood, and I'm here today with senior political correspondent David Drucker. And David, over this past week, the FEC fundraising reports came out, which gave sort of a window into how a lot of high-profile campaigns are doing in terms of raising money and how much money they have in the bank. What were some of your takeaways from those reports?
Well, first of all, Republicans are raising money, generally speaking, hand over fist. You know, after the January 6th riots a year ago and the insurrection at the Capitol, a lot of Republicans were worried they wouldn't be able to raise money. Political action committees, corporate PACs were threatening to cut off money. A lot of them did, at least for a period of time. Some still are. But as we've seen, wealthy Republican donors, businessmen have all opened their wallets. Grassroots Republican fundraising is off the charts. The outside groups that are the main outside groups for House Republicans and Senate Republicans, Congressional Leadership Fund, Senate Leadership Fund, are both raising money like gangbusters, and more so than their Democratic counterparts. All of this tells you there's a lot of enthusiasm for Republican candidates, and that donors believe like they're betting on a winner. And so the hangover that Republicans feared might occur because of how former President Donald Trump handled the post-election period and because of what happened at the Capitol on January 6th has not come to be. It has not materialized, and it's Democrats, while still raising quite a bit of money, that in many cases are still are scrambling as their midterm election prospects continue to look very bleak. Now, Senate Democrats on the ballot are raising lots of money individually. Mark Kelly is raising lots of money. He's the Arizona Democrat. Raphael Warnock is raising a gobsmacking amount of money, Georgia Democrat. And so Democrats that are under fire, Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire, and the list goes on, are doing very well individually. But from a party perspective, Republicans have a slight edge in money. And that usually means that, especially if you're the party out of power in the White House, you're headed for a pretty good election day in November.
A real test for Donald Trump is going to come in these primaries, which are unfolding right now, both with the success of the candidates he's backed and those that are sort of running explicitly on his platform. How is he so far performing in that test?
Well, we don't know. This is a really interesting subplot of the 2022 midterm elections. Obviously, most people, us included, are focused on Democrats versus Republicans. Will Republicans win the House and Senate back? If they do, by how much? They probably will, possibly by a lot. But this subplot here, as we're about to enter primary season for the Democratic and Republican primaries, is that the former president has doled out some key endorsements, some high-profile endorsements in races like the race for the Republican nomination for governor in Georgia, the race for the Republican nomination in Arizona, the race for the Republican nomination for Senate in North Carolina. And so you have a situation here where his hold on the party, his influence with voters, Republican voters, and just how strong his endorsement is and what it means is going to be put to the test, right? If Governor Brian Kemp in Georgia holds off David Perdue, the former senator, in that primary, that's going to send a signal that Trump's endorsement isn't necessarily all it's cracked up to be. Now, even though his endorsement record, by and large, is still going to be great because he's endorsing a bunch of incumbents that are going to win re-election, win renomination, I think we need to look at these real competitive primaries. The North Carolina Senate race, where Congressman Ted Budd is running against former Governor Pat McCrory. Here's another case where it really matters in terms of whether or not the president's endorsement carries weight, because the president himself has invested so much personal capital in this race. And there are other races like this where even though he won't endorse or has not endorsed, there are candidates, and we see this in the Ohio Senate race and the Missouri Senate race, that are running as the Trump candidate. They're saying, look, if you want somebody that's just like Trump, I'm your guy or gal. And if these candidates can't get it done, it'll add fuel to the fire that former President Donald Trump isn't as strong in the party as he would like to think. Conversely, everything opposite is true. If all of the Trump-endorsed candidates win, if he runs the table, it's going to send a signal that you just cannot oppose Trump on anything practically, loyalty, election integrity, whatever. If he doesn't like you, you're in deep trouble. And so this could go either way, and I'm really looking at that over the next 6 months because I think it's going to tell us a lot about the future of the Republican Party.
Speaking of strength within the party, President Joe Biden's numbers continue to plummet with independents and even with Democrats as well. But earlier this year, he promised to get out on the campaign trail more, campaign with Democrats. Is that going to be helpful?
I just think they'd rather he stay home. I think he's going to get a lot of RSVPs. Love to make it. Sorry, scheduling conflict. We saw it with Stacey Abrams recently in Georgia. She's the de facto nominee for governor there. She's an ally of Joe Biden. Joe Biden won Georgia. His numbers in Georgia, and this is a good example, right? Because his numbers nationally, his approval numbers are in the low 40s. But in a state like Georgia, according to recent polling conducted for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, his numbers are in the low 30s. So when you're the president of the United States and your approval ratings are in the tank, your party is going to be in the tank on election day. It's just the way it is. They've got to hope that he can dig himself out of, in states like Georgia, a bona fide swing state, the low 30s, at least get into the 40s, and hope nationally he can get from the low 40s to at least the mid 40s. Otherwise, you're looking at a wave. I mean, this is just something that you can't get around. That's why I predict that whether you're Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, Stacey Abrams, soon to be nominee for governor in Georgia, and so on down the line, he can go anywhere he wants, and he'll get the ticker tape parade at the airport with the red carpet and all of that. But all of the people that he's supposedly there to help are going to be 100 miles in the opposite direction.
Well, David, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more reporting from David and the rest of the political team at WashingtonExaminer.com.